My name is Alpesh Doshi. I run a company called Fintricity, and we're building new blockchain businesses. Absolutely, I believe the use of blockchain technology is here to stay, and it will expand in multiple industries over time. The adoption of blockchain will vary by industry, and it will take time to adopt. But absolutely, blockchain is definitely here to stay. Right now, the adoption of blockchain is pretty early in almost every industry. But the adoption of blockchain technology is more based on the fact that markets need a new way of solving an old problem. And that's where you get adoption more quickly. In some markets that we're seeing, for example, in supply chain or in financial services, where there are existing problems, those are the markets that we're seeing earlier adoption. Almost every industry will transform using blockchain technology. The question really is the maturity by which it adopts. The time it takes, the adoption of blockchain will really depend on the momentum an industry gets, and also the fact that there's current infrastructure built. And infrastructure here, I mean technology infrastructure, not physical infrastructure, is built so that you can then easily adopt the use of blockchain technology. That's quite a large question around cities and infrastructure and transport. The most important thing here is that some industries like the energy markets are already adopting blockchain because there's existing transformations going on in the energy markets, for example, for clean energy. So the adoption for different industries will happen more quickly. Energy, I think, is going to be sooner. Infrastructure and transport, I think, will probably be longer, 5 years, because for transport, for example, it's mainly to do with public sector infrastructure, and transforming public sector infrastructure is actually quite difficult, and using technology like blockchain will take a hell of a long time. Infrastructure, if you're talking about core infrastructure, I think the way infrastructure is financed will absolutely change because it's pretty inefficient. The adoption of blockchain in infrastructure projects, I think, is already emerging, but scaled adoption of blockchain technology in infrastructure, I think, will take a long 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. One of the ones we're working on is the financial side and the financial services side. Any construction project relies on finance, project finance, and putting together structures around raising money to actually construct the piece of infrastructure or the piece of real estate or whatever that you're creating. If you can make that more efficient and raise money more quickly, then actually construction projects can happen more efficiently. So I think financial services is probably one of the first areas where you can finance projects a lot more efficiently than you've been able to today. There are so many use cases for the application of blockchain technology. And to define which use cases are missing is actually a huge question. I think one of the key areas I would say that people don't think about that well is that blockchain isn't just about transactions, it's about using the decentralized business model in many different ways. And one really big application is the use of data and the ability to use data and decentralized data across any market. And in infrastructure and IoT, it's a huge thing. It is decentralized by its nature. So using data in a decentralized way is absolutely one of the things I don't see a lot of people talk about, and I think that's a missing piece that can help adoption more quickly. The breadth of what blockchain can do causes problems in itself to try and figure out what the themes and the focus should be. I think the first thing to do is actually figure out those themes in reasonable amount of detail. Some of the core pieces that go across every single theme is data and standardization, adoption models, ecosystem models, because to get adoption you've got to move away from proprietary closed platforms to open ecosystems. So there's sort of 2 or 3 of the things that the CBC should work on to be able to set the foundations to make the CBC successful. Challenges, I mean, there are many challenges. Primarily the challenges are around convincing stakeholders in organizations, being able to convince companies to use the technology, being able to build the products and services that are needed in the right way. Those are the key challenges. They're not necessarily technology challenges. They're more about the organization structure and stakeholder awareness and adoption to experiment with these technologies. In the built environment, the fundamentals of the technology already exist. They're already there. it's orchestrating and assembling a solution, for example, with IoT. Assembling those kinds of devices which you can plug into a mesh network, which then plug into an infrastructure. Once you can do those kinds of basic things, that helps you then create the new types of products and services that will allow the better scale and adoption in a built environment. I mean, I think, let's be honest, I don't know how it will affect the way we work, to be honest, right now. But I think with the use of blockchain technology in many different aspects of the built environment, of office spaces, of financial services, I think it'll be a long time before we see the way people work will change. But to be honest, a lot of it will be hidden away. So a lot of the change will happen in the background, and you'll just adopt these things, and you won't really know that they're happening. So, it could be because of an IoT device collecting data, you behave differently. For example, it could mean that because of the number of people in the building, you'll change the way the energy footprint works in the building. Yeah. That'll automatically bill less energy, cost less for energy. And so, that inherent change of behavior will happen automatically, if you like, in the environment that you're working in. One of the key things for me around the use of blockchain technology is moving down a route where you build proprietary systems and closed systems. To get the adoption that you would need around blockchain, you need to have open source and open source ecosystems. That doesn't mean you can't make commercial businesses out of it. It means that you have to build what I call pre-competitive models, which are the foundations of building some of the core standards and the technology and the infrastructure and the protocols that allow you then to build on the applications and services on top, which then you will get adoption with. So the risk is going down a proprietary route, which I don't agree with doing. If we take the built environment to mean being able to have better environments to work and live in, with lower cost of energy, using energy efficiently, using building spaces and spaces more efficiently, all of those things will transform over the next few years using not only blockchain technology, but blockchain will be a part of that mix to help improve the built environment.